Evening all. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about accelerationism and an idea that has been championed by the writer and columnist Peter Hitchens, which is he believes that the future of conservatism in the UK depends on the destruction of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party is, in his opinion, no longer conservative, is in fact actually stifling the creation and growth of a genuine conservative movement within the UK. And I want to drill down this idea because a lot of his fans were engaging on Twitter with me and with some other people. And they were basically parroting what he's been saying over recent years, word for word. And I tried putting some questions to these people, but I didn't really get any answers. I just got the mantra, pretty much paraphrased Hitchens. So I want to take what he says. I have reread various things and rewatched some videos that he's done and read some things that he's done. So I am going to paraphrase a little bit, but I think what I'm going to say, the position of his that I'm going to outline, I think is pretty accurate. So I've already said he wants the destruction of the Conservative Party so that a genuine conservative movement can form. He also said that if you voted for the Conservative Party in 2001, 2010, and subsequently, you deserve everything you get because you're perpetuating this thing that needs to die. So let's have a look at that. Let's unpack this issue for anybody who agrees with him. So I want to do this as a kind of thought experiment, take it through, because this is what I like doing. This is I like problem solving. I like being presented with a big idea, somebody's big idea, and then we break it down into its constituent parts to see what works, what doesn't work, and what we would have to do to make it work. So here goes. So the Conservative Party must be destroyed, but how can you do that? It's got an 80-seat majority at the moment. Well, the way of doing that is to utterly trash the Conservative Party at a general election. And it's not enough for the Conservatives to lose because they lost in 1997, but they still kept going. They have lost a few times, but they still keep going. So you have to utterly destroy them at the ballot box, which means that they get no representation in Westminster. And therefore they question their whole existence, they disband, they split, they disband, whatever. But they're no longer a political force in the United Kingdom. And this has to happen at all levels. So it would have to happen not only at the general election, but local elections, mayoral elections, Scottish and Welsh elections as well. So they have to be destroyed electorally at all levels to create the conditions that would cause its disbandment. And then, and also the funding would dry out. The backers would pull out because they would see the Conservative Party utterly defeated at all levels of government and throw them out. Okay. So first of all, that's a huge ask. It is a massive ask and wishful thinking to think that anybody who votes from the centre and is tempted to vote Conservative if they think the Conservatives are a better option than the other parties, through to the centre-right, through to the mainstream right, through to the very dry Conservative right, and perhaps throw in some libertarians as well. Throw all those people in. And you've got to get them to not vote. Okay, and that's a huge ask. You're asking millions of people to down tools or vote for a different right-leaning party. And that's really difficult because the last two general elections, 2017 and 2019, in my constituency, there's only been three main parties. Right, UKIP last stood in my constituency in 2015. And since then, it's just been Labour, Conservative, Liberal Democrat. That's my only voting options. So either I vote for one of the two left-wing parties or I don't vote at all. That's my options. So anyway, but we're trying to kill the Conservative Party. That's the thought experiment here. So let's say we do that. Let's say everybody downs tools and the Conservatives don't get enough votes to get any seats in Parliament. So can anybody spot the first big hurdle here? the first big problem we're encountering in trying to create a genuine conservative movement in the UK. We've now handed all levels of government over to the left. Okay, and this isn't like Blairite left. This isn't like old school 70s Labour left under Wilson and Callaghan and Dennis Healey and all those kind of guys. Have a look at the state of the left at the moment. You see, the thing is, when people say things like the Conservative Party is no different or even worse, and Peter Hitchens has said this, that he believes the Conservative Party is the biggest threat in the country, even a bigger threat than Labour. So, okay. People who believe that have not been watching the left a lot. They haven't been paying attention to the left if they think that. That's not me making a defence of the current Conservative Party or the Conservative Party as it's been in recent years, because as Douglas Murray said, and I wholly agree with him, not a day goes by when the Conservative government doesn't do something that annoys Conservatives. So I'm not completely blind to this. But if the focus is entirely on blaming the Conservative Party, criticising the Conservative Party, the focus is solely on that, and you're not paying attention to what the left have been doing in recent years, then you are blind to a big problem. So now, okay, in the quest to destroy the Conservative Party, we've now handed all levels of government over to most probably Labour with a massive majority, and the official opposition will be the Liberal Democrats, maybe even the SNP. Who knows? But anyway, essentially you have a left-wing government, left-wing opposition. It's just varying degrees of left, but you've handed the left everything. And do you think they're just going to get on with the daily business of government, and then meanwhile the right spends the next 5 years coming up with something to replace the Conservative Party that is genuinely conservative? Now, when I put it to one particular person on Twitter, okay, what's the plan? Okay, you want to destroy the Conservative Party and replace it with genuine conservative movement. What's the plan for that? And he said, why do you want a plan? You have to destroy the party first, and then a plan will emerge. Sorry, I don't work that way. You want me to go, say, from Land's End to John O'Groats, right? How are we going to get to John O'Groats? We just have to get to John O'Groats, okay? But how? How? What's the car, train, plane, helicopter, hovercraft? What? Are we going to go around the coast? We're going to go overland? What are we going to do? And the mentality of these Hitchenites, no, you don't think about that. You don't think about the process. You only think about the result. But thinking about the result won't get you the result. You have to actually do things. You have to actually make it happen. That's what I want to see. I want to see the process beginning. But then I suspect these people are kind of lazy cowards, really. The details, the actual getting off your butt and actually doing things is beyond them. Okay, so they're just going to sit and bitch and moan and whine and blame, point the finger at you because you actually want something practical done. That's what I said. Get real, think things through. That's what I keep trying to tell people. So anyway, we've got to destroy Conservative Party. Now we're trying to reconstitute something within. Let's say you defeated the general elections, you're going to try and rebuild it back for the local elections, which will happen 2 to 3 years into this left-wing government. And then you've got approximately 5 years before you have to go to the general election again with a fully functioning fighting party of dry conservatives who can take on the left-wing government. And because by this stage, the theory goes is that they'll make such a pig's ear of it, the left-wing government will make such a pig's ear of it, people will be clamouring for a genuine conservative government. Okay, that's a lot of assumptions to make there. So, first of all, this new conservative movement, well, who's in it? Okay, well, what are they going to believe? Okay, conservative, okay, we can pick up, say, Roger Scruton or Thomas Sowell or Edmund Burke. We can pick up these books. We can make a manifesto. We can reforge a whole manifesto, a whole philosophy, and apply it across all political and social situations. We can do that. I think that'd be a great idea to do now, with or without the help of the official Conservative Party. I think we should be doing that now. I think that should be absolutely the top priority. Who are we? What do we believe? Have a statement of intent. But if you're not working on that now, you should be. Make that your resolution tomorrow morning. First thing tomorrow morning. Find the time. Start writing down your ideas of what a genuine Conservative manifesto would be. Meet other people who want to contribute to it. Get it out there. Circulate it. Distribute it. That's how the left work. That's what they would do. Okay, so while that's happening, so what does it believe? Who's going to be in it? Who's going to lead it? Who's going to be the MPs of this new party? Just let's put some names in there. Let's throw some names in there. Nobody does that. Okay, so where's the money going to come from? You've got to think practically. Okay, we're going to go campaigning again. So we need to get the money. We need to get backers. We need to get a machine going. So, okay, let's say we're doing that over the next 5 years. Okay, are the left going to be idle in this time? Well, let's think of it from their point of view, what they would do. Well, first of all, they've had the long march through the institutions. So they've got the civil service, they've got education, they've got the media, they've got academia, they've got sports, they've got corporations. They've pretty much got everything. Okay, they've the police, law enforcement, the armed services, probably. They've got everything. So they don't want to give any of that up. Certainly now that they've won, the cherry on the cake, the one thing that's been denied to them these last 10 years, and that is Westminster. They haven't got that, and they haven't had most of the local councils as well. So now they've got everything. And then they're going to sit back and let this new Conservative movement grow. You really think a dry, proper Conservative movement's going to grow under a Labour government with the Lib Dems in opposition, with the SNP and Plaid Cymru running high, maybe even some more Green Party seats? You really think they're going to be idle? You really going to think they're going to let this movement happen? No, they're not. Because the one thing, you can destroy any new Conservative who's running for office. Just one word: racist. It's the word of power. Okay, enough mud sticks. You just say, if you're a Labour, you go racist. Press will be on it in a minute. You'll have the lobby groups like Hope Not Hate, Stop Funding Hate. All these guys, they'll jump on the bandwagon. All these groups you didn't elect, and shadowy, but they inform policy. All the SPADs, they will take you down. This new party will be strangled at birth. Okay, under a Labour government. You think they're going to hand the keys to the kingdom over to you? They're not going to They're not going to be idle while conservatism rebuilds itself. Okay, that's not what you do. You've got to remember the left are utterly ruthless. Okay, there is no dirty trick that they would stoop to keep power. So they're going to strangle a new Conservative Party at birth. And they'll have the media, they'll have the civil service. If you try and put a new Conservative Party together under a Labour government, as Labour currently is in the grip of woke ideology, it will be labelled as a domestic terror and hate group. It will be strangled. The police will be on you. Minor members who click like on social media will have non-crime hate incidents on them. That will increase under a Labour government. Labour will do things. We've got to combat right-wing extremism and hate groups. So expect, if you're just an ordinary person who is a Conservative, you'll have non-crime hate incident reports, and you won't know that you've got one. And we're looking at people losing their jobs. We're looking at people losing their bank accounts. They want you dead. They actually want you dead. They'll starve you and your family to death. And then they'll pat themselves on the back for being so bold, so courageous in standing up to the fascists. standing up to the extremists. So where's this party going to come from? Who's going to be in it? How's it going to survive? So, these are all things that need considering. Okay, so fine, you still want to destroy the Conservative Party? Right. Show me something practical. Not just down tools and hand everything over to your opponents. I mean, put it this way: if you're a true conservative, I believe if you're a true conservative, you fight for what you have because you want to conserve it. Okay, so you don't roll over like some of these Hitchenites do. You don't roll over and give in. You fight tooth and claw to keep what's yours and what you believe in. I firmly believe that. So if you're going to fight for it, if you're going to reconstitute something new, you better start doing it now while you've got a little bit of wriggle room to do it. You won't have any wriggle room under a Labour government. You've got a little bit of wriggle room right now. And I put your time to very good use. Write that manifesto. Reach out to people. Build a public profile and not fighting as in, I'm going to kick off, physically. Be kind of combative in ideas and getting your point across, but you don't give the left any excuse to brand you an incel and say you are a potential physical threat to society. So you need to get out there and you need to do this stuff. No more sitting around on your asses. I mean, I've been doing stuff. I recommend people if check out the Wellington Project, right? This is a project started by some friends of mine and people I like on the right to write that Conservative manifesto, something that Joe Public can look at and go, actually, that's not too bad. I like this. And get back to some core values and then get the message out there and talk to other people in a way that will attract them. Somebody else came up with an idea, set up something in your local community, tidy your local community, do something positive and beneficial to your local communities. So people will go, that's a decent group of people. I like these people. They help out. They're genuine. They're not looking to oppress me. They're not looking to exploit me. And you've got to get back there and start building up. I've started doing that in my own little community. I back the Wellington Project. I want to participate in more general public discussions and debates to try and put a positive message, not just a message of doom and gloom, rolling over and letting the left walk over me. So I'm going to end with this. Why do they want to throw in the towel? Because some of them, and I think this is where I might be misquoting Hitchens, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe I read once that Hitchens said it took 70 years to overthrow communism. Maybe we'll have to wait 70 years. I'm not living 70 years under a jackboot. That's a failure of people back in 1917 to oppose the left enough. When the Kerensky government was overthrown, and likewise in 1933 in Germany, there could have been pushback, but people rolled over. They threw in the towel and they said, well, we'll just have a few years of this guy. And they'll burn themselves out. Well, tens of millions dead after 70 years. Yeah, you could have strangled the movement at birth if you were strong enough, if you were brave enough, but you weren't. And I know I'm speaking to a lot of dead people there, but that's the message. So I question Mr. Hitchens. I don't trust him. Because you've got to remember, he was a former Trotskyist. And he was a hardcore Trotskyist for many years, and then he saw the light, as he says. And he worked in the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain for a number of years, and has written about it. Written very well about it. But now the Conservative Party has to die and he has no replacement for it. And when you push him on, well, you're handing all the power to the left. And he said, well, that's already happened. The Conservatives are more dangerous than the left. So he wants the Conservative Party gone, and he's quite prepared to have a Labour one-party state for 70 years. Makes me wonder, has the Trotskyist in him been purged, or is it still there?